Tables can be an extremely useful tool in Smart Notebook. One common misconception is that many teachers assume that tables are only useful for collecting data and showing information. Fortunately, they also have many other applications as well. To insert a table into your Smart Notebook file, you can either go here to the Table menu in your toolbar, or you can also go to Insert and select Table. If you go to Insert and select Table, they're going to ask you how many columns and rows you would like to have, and that will be determined by the project that you're doing. You can also make the cells square, which normally they will be more rectangular in shape to match the look of a spreadsheet, but sometimes it's helpful to have squares. When you have the number of rows and columns you want, click Insert. If you choose to go through the toolbar method, when you click on it, it's going to ask you to actually click and drag to highlight how large you would like your table to be. So you can choose how many cells you need in your table. If you accidentally select the wrong number, or you find out later you need more or less, you can change the number of columns and rows, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So when you're done, you have your table. On the table, you'll notice a few familiar features. We have the Resize tool down here in the bottom right. We have our drop-down menu in the top right, things like infinite cloner, copy paste, lock, link, all of those same kinds of things. And then this button up here in the top left corner is the button that you'll use to actually move your table around and position it on your page. To resize the cells on a table, you'll notice when you hover over one of the borders, the shape of your cursor will change just a little bit. If you click and drag, you'll notice the line turns red. You can actually drag those lines so that you can make your cells larger, and you can choose to resize any way that you want. Same is true of columns. You can resize those any way that you need to. If you decide that you need all of your boxes to be the same size, simply go to the top left corner, click and drag to highlight all of them, go to your drop-down menu, and you can choose make the same height, make the same width, make the same size, or make the cells square. So depending on what you want, it will automatically resize everything, so you don't have to try and guess if they're the same size. You can do it with a couple of quick clicks. To enter any sort of data in the table, you can simply double-click on any cell, and you can put any of your information here. Anything you need to enter, you can put any sort of text, you can also highlight by clicking and dragging, and you can change any of the font or size or color or bold, italics, underlined, or alignment. You can change any of those things simply by clicking the font buttons up here. Another thing you can do is you can also put pictures in a table. So if you go to your Gallery Essentials or anywhere else that you're finding images, you can simply click and drag. You'll notice that a box is highlighted, so when you let go over that box, the image will automatically be resized to put that image in the box. You can also, by highlighting and clicking on the Properties tab, you'll notice you also get a few more options. You get text style, which we already talked about. You get line style, where you can determine what color you would like the lines of your table to be. You can also fill your boxes as well. So you can decide what you'd like that to look like. One of the ways I use tables in my lessons is to align everything on a particular page. Rather than creating several text boxes and having to line them all up, I will put a lot of text in cells of a table. And then what I'll do, since I don't want to actually see the table, I will actually go to Properties and go to Line Style, and I will choose whatever color my background is for my fill and line effects, and now the only thing that my students see are the numbers or the images that I want them to see without actually seeing the table. If you need to edit the table later, simply just find someplace else on the screen, click and drag, and you'll see the outline of your table again, and you can go back and change the color if you do need to see the lines or anything like that. Another thing you can do with a table is you can use what's called a cell shade. We talked about the screen shade in another video where you can shade the entire screen, but a cell shade only shades one or more boxes of a particular table. So to do that, you can either click in one box, or you can also click and drag to choose several boxes, choose the drop-down menu, and click Add Cell Shade. What that does is it hides only some of the information on your table, and to remove it, you simply click on the cell itself. To re-hide a cell that you would like to cover, simply click on the dot in the top corner and you can replace that cell shade anytime you like. Another handy feature of tables is being able to merge cells. That means instead of having two separate cells side by side, you can actually merge them to have one large cell. To do this, simply click and drag to select the cells you'd like to merge. From the drop-down menu, choose Merge Cells. You'll notice now that it is one large cell. I can also click and drag. I could select an entire row, choose the drop-down, and merge cells that way. I can also merge cells up and down. Again, drop-down menu, merge cells. So I can really make this table look any way I want depending on how I need my information to appear for my students. As I mentioned before, if you find that you need to add a column or a row or delete a column or row, you can do that after the fact if you need to. To do that, simply highlight the column or row in question, choose the drop-down, and you'll notice here I get the option to delete cells. When I do that, my cells that I highlighted disappeared. Notice in this case it deleted this top one because it was merged with these over here. I can also highlight this column here, and I can choose Insert Column. I can do the same thing with a row. I can click and drag to highlight, choose from the drop-down, I can delete the cells, or I can insert a row, and then you'll notice I added another one here. If you merged cells and find you no longer need them merged, simply click on the cell, choose from the drop-down, choose Split Cell, and you get a few different options depending on what you need. You can split into columns, rows, multiple columns and rows, whatever you need to do depending on your needs. So you can really create any kinds of tables to show your information.